Hello and welcome to In the Know. I'm Mark Crosby of Quincy Access Television. In the Know is a program that looks at various departments, various organizations throughout, really throughout the state, and helps you to stay informed. Today we will be chatting with the Norfolk County Sheriff. That would be Pat McDermott. So we welcome Pat back to QATV. And we should mention, Pat, that I say through QATV because we do go out throughout the county, and actually there's access stations even beyond the county that do pick up this information because it is all important and it is all relative.
It's all relative. It's all relevant across what we do in public safety offices across the Commonwealth, and certainly is relevant here for some of the specific issues we do in Norfolk County. But conceptually, you know, at least across the sheriff's offices, the 14 sheriffs, we trade a lot of programs back and forth. So a lot of the programs that we're doing in Norfolk County are relevant just as much out in Worcester County and Hampden and the Berkshires.
Absolutely. Well, this is graduation season. We are recording this in the month of June. You have a message to all the graduates.
Well, I just want to congratulate all the graduates. We have, graduation is a great opportunity. So, we call it commencement sometimes, depending on where you're going from. And commencement is a beginning. And whether you're graduating elementary school, maybe you're graduating kindergarten, which is kind of a cool thing. But whether it's elementary school, going into high school, it's a change and it's exciting. You're anxious. It's a little different. Those that are graduating from high school, going into college, maybe going off to the military. My son is a graduate this year. He's class of 22 out of BC High, so very proud of Adam. He's heading off to Berklee School of Music with his sister, so that's a new beginning for him. And for those college graduates commencing, going out into the real world and starting. So it's a message of, it's the springtime, it's newness, it's hope, it's new opportunities. So I certainly want to extend to all the graduates a heartfelt congratulations and well wishes for future success.
Very good. You may see some of those graduates at the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office.
Absolutely. Well, we're hiring a lot of people over the course of the next few months anyways, and there might be graduates. We have a lot of criminal justice majors coming out of college that are looking to possibly be new corrections officers and caseworkers, nurses. We have a lot of openings at the Sheriff's Office, so we always welcome new talent and certainly young talent, young minds, new ideas, people that'll bring new technology to the agency. So anybody that's ever interested in working for our agency that just is a recent graduate, whether you're looking for a full-time job or potentially an internship, always look us up at norfolksheriff.com, and we have a specific section to apply for a job or an internship.
And the number and the web site is at the bottom of the screen for folks, so that just further reinforces that. Let's talk about summer safety, because that is just around the corner.
Yeah, we'll be, graduations are going down now, but the end of school is upon us. Within the next few weeks, kids will be out for summer break, and that means family vacations, family activities, lots of great things going on this summer, and I wish everybody a very safe and healthy and happy summer. But with that turns to some issues that we have to address, and safety is of a paramount importance. So we in the Sheriff's Office wanted to kind of join in the fun, but also bring some cautionary approaches to summer activities, and we're hosting some summer safety festivals around the county, and right now we have two at least scheduled. One coming up in the city of Quincy on June 18th, which I believe is going to be hosted down at Marymount Beach. We'll be bringing some of our public safety vehicles down there. We're going to be bringing our canine operation. We'll be bringing some of our corrections officers and our deputy sheriffs there to help train on certain things. But it's mostly going to be a fun way to kick off the summer and give some awareness of some of the issues coming up. But we'll be in Quincy on June 18th, and I think we're going to be heading to Sharon in July at Lake Massapogue in the middle of Sharon, which for anybody in Norfolk County that's either watching this program, take a trip to Sharon. An environmental gem is Lake Massapogue in the middle of Sharon. So, and we're going to be scheduling a few more of those in the summer, hopefully down in Foxborough. But we get a lot of public parks and a lot of recreation areas around the county, and we want to bring our public safety days and festivals out to the community.
Absolutely. And a lake in Sharon, I wonder if that is kayakable. I don't know if that's a word.
I believe it's kayakable. I'm not sure if I've ever watched somebody kayak out there, but I'm a big kayaker myself.
Yeah, right. We talked
my
about
wife,
that.
My wife is a whatchamacallit. She gets on the board, paddleboard.
Oh, okay.
She does the paddleboarding. So maybe that's something we'll bring to our summer public safety festivals. So why not?
Very good. I'll certainly be looking forward to. Maybe I'll make a trip out there.
Yeah, come
Maybe
down.
I'll make a trip during that,
we'll be doing
summer
swim
day.
safety programs. We'll be doing bike safety, fire safety. We have a whole host of little things to do, and all in a fun way. That's the one thing. Sometimes, and I go out and speak about programs. It's a cautionary tale, and I don't want to scare anybody, from things that are going on on a public safety thing. But what I want to do is empower people to have the tools and the tactics in the event of any kind of emergency. So we're there to give the people the information they need in the event that emergencies take place. We always hope that nothing happens, but you'd rather be prepared in the event of an emergency than to be, without any tools and something tragically happens. So we want to empower people.
And that's the way to do it. The way to do it is with an event like this, which basically makes learning this fun.
Exactly. And beware, we bring out the tactical picnic unit as well. So there's probably going to be some burgers and dogs and maybe some ice cream, slushes. We haven't bought the slush machine yet, but now that I've announced it here, usually that means my CFO and chief of staff got to readily get after buying a slush machine. So there it is.
Well,
breaking news here on QATV.
We better not talk about this anymore because you just might have to add to your list.
I just got myself in trouble.
With the weather, with the warm weather, we have to be concerned about hot car
every
safety.
year.
So hot cars.
Yeah, every year. This is a tragic thing, and the weather gets hot, and even if we, some people, and I know it usually is somebody doing a quick errand, going into the store, going into the bank. I just have to stop in there for a second. You don't realize how fast time goes by, and you could be leaving, sadly, either a child or a pet in a hot vehicle. In less than 20 minutes, a car can, in hot weather, can go up to well over 100 degrees temperature-wise. And the lack of oxygen and the ability to breathe can end up with tragic circumstances. So the key is to never leave your child or a pet inside a vehicle at any time. And clearly, in the event that you come across a child or a pet in a vehicle, in a parking lot, clearly contact police immediately. But sometimes you have to take measures yourself, and we've heard life-saving technique. People break a window just to make sure that the pet or the child is safe. So it's just a cautionary tale. Just don't do it. It gets hot out there in the middle of the summer, and we don't want to have one of those tragic circumstances occur. So please be vigilant on that. And call 911 immediately. That's the key too. If you can't yourself take care of things, 911, get police, fire, ambulatory care there immediately, just so that we avoid tragedy.
Very good point. Let's talk about fire safety. Obviously, with the warm weather and dry conditions, that's always a concern.
Always a bad mix of things, and we want people to enjoy, whether it's a hike in the woods or camping, or enjoying your fire pit, whether it's in your backyard or grilling. I mean, that's a summer tradition. We always get our grill going, but there are local ordinances that are in effect for a reason, and I've had this happen in my own neighborhood, where grills, if you're stored too close to the house. And whether it's a flare-up, a grease fire, or sometimes some of those tanks, especially after a New England winter. If you don't know how to do it yourself, especially on the gas tanks, on the propane gas, always check your valves. Make sure before you start grilling or lighting that flame for the first time. Google it. It'd take me too long to explain, but you can put some soap on it and see whether or not any air bubbles come through on any of the valves, because the last thing you want is a gas leak that can end up in an explosion. So propane gas is a dangerous thing. It's a safe, beautiful thing to have. It's clean burning and all that stuff. However, it can be tragic if it's not properly done with the right tools. Fire pits are great. We all have them, but you got to be very careful about the embers flying in. And clearly, we have a pretty good mix of weather patterns in the area. So most of our communities have have moisture. We have rainy days, sunny days, not as bad as the West, where there's droughts all over the western part of the country. But we've had fires up in the Blue Hills. We've had brush fires out there with people discarding cigarettes or leaving a campfire burning. All of those things create, public safety problems, and we don't want to have something as simple as forgetting to put your campfire out or manning your fire pit. I mean, go to Curry Hardware and buy yourself one of those domes that puts over the fire pit. You'll still get the heat, you'll still feel the flame, but the embers get kept in place. So it's just a matter of keeping safe and making sure that you stay within the local ordinances and the rules. And you don't want the fire department having to make a visit.
And we should mention too that if you venture beyond Massachusetts and you're on vacation, let's say in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
where fireworks are legal, be careful there as well.
Yeah, I mean, fireworks are dangerous across the board. That's why I think in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they're not legal in Massachusetts, although a lot of people do transport them. We'll see them most likely a lot around 4th of July. But yeah, definitely be careful about that. You should leave it up to the professionals to do it. I know they're fun and all. They look to be fun, but sadly enough, there's always a tragedy every summer with a blown off hand or finger burn, and we just don't want that. Leave it up to the professionals and enjoy. I know that the Quincy's Flag Day Parade's coming up. There'll be a professional fireworks display that everybody can enjoy. There's no need for amateur hour down to Pageant Field.
Leave it to the professionals.
And if you want helpful guidelines too, the National Fire Protection is a great organization. National Fire Prevention Association has some guidelines in place that people can go to nfpa.org, and they give some helpful tips as to how to prevent fire tragedies.
I know, just stepping back when we were talking about grills, and you talked about checking the valves and checking
the wire, the tubes and everything.
Right, and the tubes can crack over time, so that's the reason to check those.
And that's why with the deep temperatures that we get in the wintertime, rubber freezes just like everything else, and especially it cracks. Like you say, the rubber will crack. You won't even know it. The wear and tear of something, and you just have to test it to make sure there's no leaks. And that's what it comes down to.
And distance, you talked about distance from a structure.
Yeah, it's about
Certainly.
10 feet at least.
And the other thing too, and a lot of people will do this and then simply get not shocked, but they'll jump back because they will light the propane grill with the cover on.
Yep.
The propane builds
up
and
You'll
suddenly
get
pop.
pretty good pop.
Right.
You'll have that smell of burnt hair on your arms, and hopefully not your face or your hair, but you'll know it very quickly. So just be careful about it. Certainly look at your user manuals if you have them to make sure you're going through your safety checks, and just be careful.
And when you're lighting the grill, have the cover open.
Always have it open. Yep.
Let's go to the other side and talk about water safety.
So this is another area that, like I said, Norfolk County's we have over 100 lakes and ponds, and certainly there's thousands of pools that people have in their backyards, or community pools, private pools at various, golf clubs and things of that nature. And certainly we can't forget the fact that Norfolk County is right along the coast. Quincy, Weymouth, Braintree have access to Cohasset has access to the waterways. So we got to be safe on our water and make sure that even though there's a danger to water, we have to make sure that you're prepared before you go in to swim and enjoy, or boating, or the lake. You got to make sure that you're properly taught how to swim. And there's so many programs out there that are available to the public. I know that the Department of Conservation and Recreation through the state has a lot of summer safety programs when it comes to water safety and swimming. I know the South Shore YMCA has swim lessons that they provide. You've got Boys and Girls Clubs around the county. The Red Cross itself provides swimming lessons. So we want to make sure that we don't have those unfortunate, and it already happened. We already had a drowning. I forget if it's in Norfolk County, but a 4-year-old has already been tragically drowned in a swimming pool. So you just have to be careful and vigilant. If you own a swimming pool, make sure it's fenced in. Make sure it's properly locked, especially if you have small children around. If you're having a summer party, especially with young people involved. Make sure that there's always an adult present to make sure that there's adult supervision. And yeah, when it comes to the lakes and the ponds, I mean, there's so much to enjoy around Norfolk County, and we don't want to prevent people from having a good time, but you just got to be vigilant. And, don't go in the water if you're not comfortable swimming. If you always wear a life preserver, because especially in some of the lakes around the county, I know that there's areas that are fenced off, and we all want to be adventurous and go beyond the fenced off portion, but it gets dangerous. Those areas are cleared for a reason. When you get beyond any of that, especially in a pond, there's a lot of brush and underground underneath there that can sadly catch you and pull you under. So stay within the limits and the boundaries set forth by the park departments, and adhere to the signs about where you should be swimming, where you shouldn't be swimming, and don't be ashamed about wearing a life preserver if you don't know how to swim.
Two things I'd like to mention. You mentioned the fenced off areas often, and people they're not always aware of this, but you can get stuck in the muck.
Yes, very dangerous. That's the problem. The muck itself is dangerous. And so and that tragically can lead to, once again, a circumstance. We've had this, and I think it was last summer, or it was maybe last summer, that a Worcester police officer drowned, going in to save others who were in a situation where their lives were at risk, and tragically he drowned. So it really can be problematic when people go beyond where they're supposed to, and you're putting your own life in jeopardy, but you're also putting first responders' lives in jeopardy. So it's just a matter of being smart about it and not taking any unnecessary risks, and being careful. I mean, we talk also, diving into a swimming pool, making sure that you're not diving into a shallow pool. That's another tragedy that just happens. A great party going on and somebody dives in, breaks their back or their neck, and so you just want to be careful and be vigilant about that stuff.
The second part of what I was going to mention was the life vest, and I had taken out my kayak just about 2 weekends ago when the summer temperatures hit in the spring, and it was windy, so this pond, which was big, had waves.
Yep.
The waves ended up crashing onto the kayak and into the hull, basically into the hull. There was a cover, and it was behind me, so I didn't see it. So sure enough, before long,
Yep.
I was submerged,
Yep.
but I had a life jacket on.
That's right, and you should always do that. I mean, I know that my wife goes out paddle boarding, I go out kayaking. You throw the life jacket on, Maybe you don't look as cool as you want to look.
But you know what? They're fashionable now.
Exactly, they make us look pretty good, But yeah, do that anyways, and make sure you do. The other thing about safety too, and I mentioned the fact that we have a lot of coastline. Quincy is pretty much on an inlet, so there's not as much of like undertow or tough currents. But I know in parts of Weymouth and certainly down Cohasset, you go to the South Shore. But people will venture out.
Absolutely.
They'll go down to the South Shore. They'll go to the Cape. They'll go down to maybe Nauset Beach or the National Seashore. Not to mention the sharks, which you'll read plenty about that this summer. But I'm not going to
Shark repellent.
I'm not going to get you on the shark thing. But currents can actually be pretty dangerous.
Absolutely.
So be wary of the currents, and certainly lifeguards or any postings that talk about a tough current. Currents can sweep you away in a minute, and an undertow can pull you right underwater, disorient you, and it can be dangerous. So just be careful of where you're swimming. Always adhere to the signs, adhere to the lifeguard announcements, just to make that a good time stays good.
You were talking about sharks a moment ago, and we were talking about classic programs as you came in, and of course Batman with his shark repellent.
Shark repellent, you gotta have
Remember
it. I wish it really worked. I wish I had that on my safety belt. But yeah, be wary of the sharks. They're coming.
We are recording this program on the 2nd of June, so we are recording it during National CPR and AED Awareness Week.
Yes, a good reminder to take some time to prepare yourself to respond well in an emergency. I took CPR years and years ago, and it's been updated since. So you really should be taking refresher courses fairly often. I've actually utilized those skills in having CPR, and I'm thanking that I was able to do what I needed to do. because you never know when an emergency strikes. So CPR awareness is great. AED, not many people know how to use a device like that. You should, try to find out how to use a device to make sure that if you have to resuscitate somebody, learn how to use the Heimlich maneuver. I mean, we talk about that can be used across the board. It doesn't have to be the summertime. None of this have to be during the summer times per se. But you should be able to use the Heimlich maneuver if somebody's choking. That happens once again. Great party, summer barbecue, somebody's choking on a chicken bone or something like that. You want to be able to open that airwave up. But if somebody, God forbid, has a heart attack or goes into a respiratory arrest somehow, you want to be able to do some chest compressions to at least keep the body and the blood pumping, because that's the number one thing these days. And when I was originally trained, it was about rescue breaths and then chest compressions. And now it's mostly about chest compressions. So always update your training to make sure that you have the latest and greatest. Because if you keep those chest compressions going, you'll at least be able to keep that person, keep the blood pressure going and keep the blood flowing if you're pressing on the heart. It makes sure that things. And we used it last year. The Sheriff's Office responded during the 4th of July parade in Quincy, out in Squantum, when one of the truck drivers had a heart attack. And all of a sudden, the truck came into the end of the parade and was out of control. Luckily, first responders were there. The sheriff's office was there. Some of my corrections officers, as well as just by happenstance, the fire department's drum and bugle, fife and drum corps were there. They were able to secure the vehicle. We were able to get the people off the truck. But then again, the chest compressions, people were able to be on the scene, and we were able to revive that gentleman, and got him to the hospital in time. So the more people that are trained on CPR, the better. Like I said, this is the week of at least National CPR Awareness Week. It doesn't end this week, theoretically. This is just the awareness week. Sign yourself up for CPR courses. You'll never know when that opportunity will present itself for you to be a lifesaver.
Absolutely. Well said. We are now going to go around the county,
yes,
like we do in most of our programs.
Around the county, that's always
it's a feature.
good.
I feel like
it.
It's like the David Letterman top 10. But
this is it. Monthly, people are waiting for this part of the show.
Well, we hope. So June is LGBTQ plus month.
Yes.
And you were in Quincy during a flag ceremony.
Correct. We had it last night, June 1st, to kick off Pride Month here in the city of Quincy. It was a great evening. Luckily, the weather held out on us. We had a crowd, I don't know, maybe about 100 people came out in front of City Hall Plaza, the Adams Hancock Green. And it was sponsored by the United First Parish Church, the Church of the Presidents. We had a wonderful crowd, a little ceremony to raise awareness and celebrate Pride Month. And this is a month of celebrations for folks that have been marginalized in life, and it's a beautiful thing that we as a community are very inclusive and we are welcoming people that might not be just like everybody else. And the Pride flag was raised last night with a lot of pride and honor. And you couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging in that community. And folks that oftentimes lived in the shadows or in the closet, so to speak, more folks are coming out and feeling comfortable because society is accepting people as who they are. And we want to make sure that they're proud of who they are and that their individuality is respected. And from a law enforcement point of view, a lot of those people were like I said, were marginalized, were in fear because of violence that was perpetrated against them. And from a law enforcement perspective, I wanted to let them know that the Sheriff's Office is fully supportive of the Pride effort. We want them to be strong, proud, and shout from the mountaintop. And so we were happy to raise that flag at the United First Parish Church last night. I know on Sunday, this weekend, is the Pride Festival here in Quincy up at Pageant Field. And I know there's other Pride events going on throughout Norfolk County. And I'm sure that if you just check your Facebook events page, there'll be plenty of things to do if you want to help celebrate this month.
I know that you were in Medway during Memorial Day service.
Yeah, Memorial Day is such a, it's a wonderful holiday, and I say wonderful in a very somewhat of a somber front, because it's a day that we celebrate, that we honor the fallen soldiers and Navy and airmen that had lost their lives through military operations throughout the world and throughout history. And unfortunately, what bums me out every year is the fact that most Memorial Day celebrations happen all at the same time. And
so you can't be in
you
more
can't
than
be
one
everywhere.
place
And
at one time.
the sheriff's office, we have a lot more resources, which is great. As an elected official for the last 25 years, in Quincy it was easy because I had to go to one ceremony. But now, when I was registered of probate for 18 years, and you have to pick and choose: do I go to Braintree? Do I go to Rentham, Foxborough? And as sheriff, the same thing is a problem. But we ended up going out to Medway, which we were invited specifically because we were hosting World War II veterans that were still alive. But we were hosting them as kind of the grand marshals, and we have a nice big float that we were able to have a few veterans ride along with me. And it was a wonderful celebration of their legacy and their lives, but also a somber day to remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, and that was their life on behalf of freedom for the country. And so Memorial Day every year is something special to me, and I look forward to celebrating that every year as long as I'm invited.
And next, we aren't going very far at all. We are going to Braintree, and we're going to talk about flags for our families.
Yeah, Flags for Our Families, another thing that we're initiating in the sheriff's office. We want this to be an annual event, and as I've said in the past, I've got some resources in the sheriff's office, and I hate underutilized assets and underutilized resources. And we have a great campus down in Braintree at 2015 Washington Street. I invite everybody to come down at some point, drop in, take a ride around the campus. But the Flags for Our Families was something we wanted to do at Memorial Day. We invited residents as well as employees to submit names to be attached to flags that were going to be that are displayed across the front lawn of our Braintree Public Safety Campus. So we had a nice small ceremony there on Sunday morning. We had some residents come and some employees, but it was a beautiful flag ceremony. We had the field of flags set up, and we hope to make it an annual event and in memorial of those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for the country.
Very nice. I want to thank you, Sheriff, for coming in and talking with me today, and in turn sharing what you had to say with Massachusetts, especially the county, the Norfolk County.
Look forward to coming back again, and hopefully this isn't our last one before the end of the summer, but we'll be back.
Yes, you're welcome every month, or maybe twice a month.
Hey,
you're always welcome.
We're making all kinds of promises all the time here. I got to buy a machine, and then
I said you're welcome.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. And thank you at home for watching. Please continue to support your local Access TV station for programming just like this. Take care.